So it's a Friday afternoon and we are on the route, on tour, Jan. We are on tour.
On tour at the
booking office.
Oh yeah.
We are at booking office and maybe you can see it in behind, but it's a little bit difficult. And so it's also the first time, so hopefully no technical issues appear when we have this whole mobile studio set up on tour. And but we are at booking, as just said, and we have two guests on the table. And let me introduce them to you, Jan, and to all our listeners. Yeah, so it's Petr Plenkov. He's a senior SAP developer at Booking. And we have Petr Kaldi. He's also a senior SAP developer, and of course also at Booking. And if you look into your background, guys, then I can see that you have an ABAP background, HANA, web backend there, as if I speak for Petr, and Node.js, Cloud Foundry, Docker, MongoDB, Fiori, CAP. I think you have really extensive background in all
full stack
SAP systems infrastructure. But the nice thing is, Jan, and my sounds are gone, is that he also has a functional background, and that's something that's not really common. Eh? So you have strong development skills, but then you also have functional skills like finance, procurement, HR, public, and retail. So that's a nice thing, and I think that's something that we can take into account also during the recording today. Well, the first steps for Petr in the SAP world in ABAP is 2008 with iDocs, reports, and output forms. Yeah. So that's a nice thing.
Old school.
Yeah. And if we go to Petr, then for also when HANA, he has been instructor or is still instructor for SAP trainings. He's also in the functional area, so finance, materials management, sales, HR, SRM. Yeah, and being a consultant at Accenture, been at Daimler and Suez. Hey, we have been at Suez as well.
Yep.
Welcome to the Booking Cafe, because we also got some nice lemonade from our guests, from Petr and Petr. And I think an applause is in place for them with this strong SAP background skills. Thank you. Yeah. And
okay, that's standing ovation.
I think it's
a good one, eh?
Probably it's enough.
Yeah. So welcome at HANA Café, the Netherlands. Thank you, guys.
HANA Café Nederland is een podcast met nieuws vanuit de SAP-wereld. In het café spreken de gasten en stamgasten over ontwikkelingen, innovaties, events of praten ze gewoon weer eventjes bij. Laten we snel naar binnen gaan.
Booking Cafe instead of HANA Cafe, so we need to change the jingle, and it's in English, of course, because Booking is an international company. So, guys, welcome to the Booking Cafe.
Thank you.
And so we know now from Petr, so you started in 2008 with ABAP in the SAP world. When did you start, Petr, in the SAP world?
Oh my God, I'm very old. I started in 2004.
2004.
Started in India, by the way. It's like we're moving over there and then learning ABAP, and it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Which company was that?
Mahindra Satyam. And then I moved to Accenture. So I was for Accenture Netherlands for close to 10 years. And 7 years ago with Booking at the same time with Pedro.
Okay. And then we have some experience on the table. Eh? Jan, when did you start?
Quite some. I think I first learned about ABAP when I was still wearing diapers. Is that possible?
That's possible for you, yeah, sure. Yeah. For me, it's 95. Yeah, 95.
I think it's 97, to be honest.
Okay,
yeah.
So I'm the dinosaur.
I'm feeling young. It's very hard.
Yeah. Okay. Can you explain a little bit about what you do at Booking with SAP Development, Petr?
That's a good question. So basically, from one side, we do exactly same as all other SAP clients do. We help our company to adopt and utilize software by SAP in the best possible way. From the other hand, it's a very different project from all other projects I've been worked before.
So why is it so different?
Yes. So basically, in previous organizations, SAP team was like supposed to be kind of the main technical team or something like this. But here it's a different setup. We are working in one of the largest IT companies in the world, and we have a very strong tech foundation here. So we have almost all services have some owners, so different teams delivering different services. Even for some small operations, I mean, they are not small, but for some, like only for logging or only for audit or only for secret management, there is a dedicated team with dedicated product. And for us, talking about SAP, we face a lot of integration challenges. So basically for us, integration pattern is one of the kind of priorities, right?
Yeah.
So
But we see that in many companies, so that integration is the biggest topic within the SAP world.
yeah, correct.
Yeah, but booking is different in terms of speed. I mean, if I look at... There was a conversation that I can still recall with booking. It was about the implementation of S4. And then most of our customers, they take about half a year. And when we spoke about half a year implementation period of S4, and that's, half a year is considered fast. They said, that's way beyond our planning horizon.
Yeah, it should be faster. But you just mentioned also that you called Booking an IT company, the large IT company.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people think Booking as the travel company, right?
Well, indeed, it's a travel agency, but mainly it's a IT setup, right?
Yeah,
So, but of course, this is from my perspective, being a tech person.
Yeah.
But speaking about booking, I guess we also have many important roles. All roles are important, right? So also human relations and customer relations.
Okay.
Yeah. But we are working in fintech, so.
You are both working in the same department.
Yes.
Yes.
And our team is called Financial Systems, so it means it means that to support financial systems and booking. So that's exactly what we do.
Yeah, I found it interesting that you call this fintech within booking as well. So most companies would call it finance, right? Or administration or bookkeeping or debiteuren, crediteuren. You call it fintech.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
It's much more than SAP actually. So it's like we have also more teams in fintech, and we one of the main organization, and like where the SAP is, we call it financial system. It's a bit confusing. Many people is asking, but it's became clear for us.
And we still many people just call us SAP. So SAP team. Well, there is no such a team. But
In the basement.
yes.
Okay. So last year we spoke to Robert in our Developer Heroes series, and he was also working for Booking, and he mentioned, you should definitely talk to Petr. Definitely, because he is doing crazy things with SAP, and maybe you can recall so that you using CAP, as you already explained, but then you build something on top of that. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. I don't think I do crazy things, to be honest. So we basically, again, so I already mentioned we help the company to utilize the vendor software in the best possible way. So talking about CAP, the deployment model looked like it was supposed to be the application which should run on BTP.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a programming model for native cloud applications on BTP, helping to utilize HANA Cloud and integrate it with other services. But for example, speaking about us, we have a different setup. We have our own cloud, which is AWS. We have like on-prem HANA system with XSA. So we have another, let's say, sidecar services. So for example, for service mesh, we use another service. For authorization, we use own Auth server. And all these things needed to be done on our side, that we could develop a CAP application, not as a BTP application, but as kind of booking. Okay, we call it BKS, Booking Kubernetes Service. So basically, we have our own large Kubernetes setup. And so what I did, again, it's I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and by that moment there was no kind of a Kubernetes scenario delivered out of the box. Today is not a problem, just you write one command like a CDS generate Helm chart, I don't remember the exact command, and it generates your Helm chart, and you basically deploy it, and it just go to Kaima. Yeah. So it's very, very simple. But by that moment, there was nothing, and so basically I created kind of the deployment setup that we deployed our data model to HANA on-premise. Then we deployed our CAP application, the runtime. We use Node.js as a Node.js container to Kubernetes, our Kubernetes. and we authorized against our identity service, identity provider, and there was the application. And the second thing, we didn't use UFF because, well, since it's just open application, our developer, like UI developer, decided to choose Vue.js. So but in the end, if you look at this application, you will never even think that it's a kind of SAP backend and it's OData behind, but it is. So, and then later we discovered GraphQL and things, which is delivered by CAP just out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was like a magic what we can do with GraphQL, and then things get even easier. So we just managed to, in the end, we built a very nice looking application with own UI, but fully powered by CAP.
Yeah.
So, but it's not a framework. I cannot say the framework. If Robert would just tell me what he meant, maybe I could talk about more about this. What I also just want to mention that I'm really like kind of whenever I work on something, I take care a lot of toolings and development experience. So, for example, whenever you develop, so if you see some code pattern which you like used to do from time to time, of course, first thing you do, like you wrap it as a function and then you utilize it as a library. That's a good example, one example, right? But even though sometimes you want to have like kind of your own, let's say you want to have your own client like SDK. I think a good example from SAP, like Cloud SDK. So basically Cloud SDK is those set of methods which you can call, but instead of triggering the HTTP call, like sending this API with these parameters, you simply use some Node.js library and say customer.create and provide some parameters. And you don't even understand there is HTTP call behind, and it's calling SAP and creating customer there. So you just use it as a function. So, and that's why I also try to follow the same approach, and I'm generating the so-called SDK. So generating clients by using the specification. So instead of writing some code manually, sometimes I practice to write another code which generates me the code, to make my end code more compact.
You created your own chat GPT.
No, it's not GPT. It's just static generators. But that's kind of the things we do.
Yeah.
There's a generator based on the API specifications.
Like for example, yes, Open API.
Mm-hmm.
Since we talk about booking, we of course, in SAP we have OData is our main specification. For the rest of services, OData is not really convenient, I would say, format. So the rest of companies using Swagger Open API, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we had tons of different services which we needed to call. So instead of again using some CL HTTP client and then filling all the headers manually and everything like this, so I wrote some kind of a parser of that Open API Swagger JSON file, and it was generating me the interfaces in ABAP, classes, methods, and in the end you just have some kind of a static class with static method, you call it.
Yeah. Well, and this is in fact the way most Node.js developers like to develop.
Exactly.
I mean, they take stuff from NPM, and ready-made library, and whatever happens in the background in terms of authentication, in terms of calling services and stuff, that's all taken care of by the library.
Exactly, and this is the principal difference between, let's say, Open Stack World and ABAP.
Mm-hmm.
Because in ABAP, we don't have such a libraries. In ABAP, we only have what was delivered by SAP, plus a little bit more from the community. But if you look at the community projects, it's a very limited set, and only few projects are really successful. Probably the most successful is ABAP Git.
Yeah. Is that something that would change now that we also have ABAP Cloud? We are running on BTP.
You mean packages?
Yeah.
Well, but
Maybe.
that's a good point. I was hoping that ABAP Cloud could be like that kind of a new boost for ABAP. But we observe the same pattern. It's quite difficult to deliver code for ABAP Cloud. I mean, when I was talking about development experience, it's also about the way how you deliver your changes. Like, for example, if you talk about the Git-driven development, you're supposed to have some kind of CI/CD pipeline, right? And, it's 2024, but still we don't have some kind of delivered by the vendor out of the box CI/CD procedure, how we can have a Git project, make some change, then I commit, and then change goes to the ABAP cloud. There is nothing. This is a problem. You need to do it manually. You need to go and use this Eclipse plugin to pull your changes, to commit, and everything like this.
Okay.
So
product management, if you're listening, ask Petr.
Yes.
But the thing is, maybe Petr has built it already.
That's what we are discussing, by the way.
There you go.
Yes.
Because I can still remember conversations that we had in the past. We were talking about low code, and of course the whole thing about low code was that you can develop faster. And then you said, but yeah, at that time we were still talking about ABAP and ECC. I've built this framework on top of ABAP. And why does it take you so long to build this application using low code while I can have it done in 15 minutes?
But you built your own framework in ABAP. That's what you mean.
Well, at least methods or frameworks or capabilities or whatsoever that made booking, allowing booking to develop ABAP applications really, really fast. Yeah.
That's not really for applications. It's for components still. For example, for SDKs, I would say it's SDK. When you have an API spec and you generate a class, calling that spec, it's SDK, but not really the application. Application you need to build yourself.
So still you build components. Sorry. But you build components to make your developer experience better and faster, and so you can deliver to business also faster.
Yeah, but in the end, time is also when we observe what SAP is delivering from release to release, it's also interesting things, right? And we would gladly adopt. And now we face another problem that usually it requires some upgrade, which is very difficult for business. Just to, for example, to have a newest released every half a year, something like this. What is actually HANA Cloud fully solving, right? So as for HANA Cloud is supposed to be exactly that environment that you just don't really care about the upgrade. It's just getting upgrade automatically.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Provided you keep your core clean.
Exactly. So, but when we talk about on-prem system, sometimes, yes, this is available. We know this feature is available, but we cannot use it because, maybe in a few years, if we get a new release, because again, every release every upgrade is a risk, right? So we can break some core processes which you don't want. So everything needs to be tested very carefully. It's very expensive. So that's why we are heading towards the course to have regular upgrades right now with new S4. But so by that moment, it was not possible just that easily to use some code. That's why we still had to write own custom code.
Are you using on that topic? Are you using things like test automation to test your applications as soon as you move to a new version of S/4HANA?
Do we? Let's be frank.
What we can share? Yep.
Yes.
We have purchased automation tool, but not every code, of course. But for unit test, we are pushing for every developer to create automated test. But it's a project itself. And as you mentioned at the beginning, for the business need and the business speed is always put priorities.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, that's what you do it for.
But then, so you deliver applications for your business people, not for the customers of booking. So it's internal applications that you deliver.
Yes, this is absolutely correct. So our team is mainly SAP has a dedicated role in booking. It's accounting platform, so it's mainly served for accounting purposes. But we are not the system of the initial source of information, right? So whenever you make a reservation on Booking or you register yourself as a partner on Booking.com, it doesn't go to SAP immediately. Of course, there is another platforms, and then
SAP is a backend system.
Yes, and it's kind of a secondary backend. It's done for purpose, like for example, to do all the accountings, right? And our users, they are back office users. So such.
But how do those back office users work in SAP? What do they use? Fiori? Do they use?
It's a mixed package. So we are pushing for Fiori, of course, but some of the business user who get used to for the sub GUI experience, it's a transition is ongoing, but of course it's it's a mixed.
Yeah, so mixed SAP GUI and then a little bit Fiori.
Yes, usually if there is like a team who is like a wider audience and like for more 100, then we try to really push for Fiori only. If there is like for one small dedicated team which not so much user, then we can allow for exceptional cases for SAP GUI access.
Or we use so-called sidecar approach because, again, one thing, if you talk about some core operations like accounting, then of course accountants just work in the system with their like standard SAP transactions. If you talk about some delivering some customer reports or maybe some extra functionalities which requires more data than we need actually, then we have in SAP, and the main point, we don't need this to be in SAP, like, I don't know, reservation details or something like this, because it doesn't make sense. So for that purpose, we use some so-called like sidecar approach when we replicate data to another data lake, which is also HANA database, but we already enrich it with another data from other systems and build applications on top of this. By the way, our CAP application is exactly this kind of application when we just first replicate data and build our CAP model on top of that enriched data. And it's working really great.
And how do you then synchronize the user experience for those back office colleagues?
Well,
because they have SAP GUI and some other applications, and
for them it's just two more, because our users have really multiple user interfaces. Yeah. Also, booking is evolving. We have some legacy interfaces. We have some new interfaces, and of course, as every company, we have ambition to build like one single UI serving. But we also need to understand it's kind of the dream, right? Whatever you build, it also needs some support. So that's why building set of small tools. More stable, reliable.
So the one UX to rule them all. That's a challenge, and that's a dream, as you just explained. But it's difficult if you have so many business wishes that you also need to deliver.
Exactly.
So I'm still curious on. I mean, you can imagine, right? You have SAP GUI for some users, and you have Fiori for some users. Just now you were talking about using a CAP application that has Vue.js on top, right? And that's well, it might look quite different from Fiori and from SAP GUI. So then correct. You deliberately choose for a secondary user interface technology.
Yeah. So we actually our first exercise with Vue.js was not even like a standalone application. So, but we did it. Let's say we went our own way. We used Fiori, right? So as a launchpad, and Fiori delivers a lot of good things out of the box, like. It's all this role model with styles, catalogs, and everything like this. But by some purpose, let's say we were not fully maybe satisfied with the set of controls available and the performance of the application. So one of our developers decided to create the UI5 component. And it's just a UI5 component, just as a control. And that component can render Vue.js application.
Right. So it still looks a bit like Fiori.
It doesn't look like Fiori.
It doesn't.
No, because Vue.js application is using the own. We inherited some kind of maybe fonts and everything from the team, but and of course it is aware of some OData libraries. It is aware of the routing, which is kind of inherited from the UI5, but everything inside is just Vue.js component. Yeah. So we like this approach. I think right now SAP is also, we see that web elements getting more and more popular.
Exactly.
So I think what we did is kind of web elements, kind of, but we just did it differently. So
well, it's quite nice actually that, you know, if you talk about CAP, it's been launched as SAP opinionated, but it's not enforced. It's not enforced that you use, for instance, OData, but you can use other languages as well, right? And
say it again.
Like the query language, the Facebook query language. What's it called?
GraphQL.
Correct.
Yeah,
GraphQL.
no, this is true. But basically, talking about CAP, I think the situation is different. So when SAP came with HANA Cloud, right? So it was great, but by that moment it was not clear enough how we can develop applications for it, which language can we use? Should we use Node.js or Java or maybe Python? Everyone was free to use the language of their choice.
Yeah.
And that was a very good, I think, strategical decision from SAP, to my opinion, that they came with some kind of the tooling, and they even they chose only two languages, Java and Node.js.
Node.js,
and right now, I would say you are not free to choose the stack, but like if you adopt those two technologies, then you can integrate to like all the toolkit available on BTP.
Yeah, well, I still like the fact that you're using CAP as a pluggable concept.
Yes.
Like if you've made it available on Kubernetes before it was available from the framework itself, and you've plugged Vue.js on top of it rather than Fiori.
Yes.
And you've plugged your identity system into it rather than the BTP identity system.
Like instead of XUA, we didn't have BTP, we had it
Exactly.
XSA advanced, and then XSUA requires the database user, and it's not integrated to anything. Yes, so we replaced it with our identity.
So this is kind of a success story on CAP, on pluggable concepts, that is opinionated and not kind of agnostic to technology, and not really something that mandates or requires, for instance, only SAP technology.
Yes, and that's what I really like, that all these things were still, it was slowly evolving, but now since CAP goes open source, we can see that it's really accelerating in terms of like, I think we had recently the roundtable. I'm not going to share some insights because probably they are not for, they will be presented later by SAP colleagues, but we discussed like 3 new services, which are going to be supported only, services available on BTP, which are going to be supported only with the next release. And actually, when I ask about even more features which we would like to have, they say this is also working already right now, but just not released for the public use. So it's really good. And talking about ABAP, I really like this topic, RAP or CAP. I can talk hours of this. My opinion, there must be no or. They are not competing to each other. But what I see that CAP, it's really taking that. So to my opinion, it should be first RAP, then CAP. What I mean this. So even if you build some model in ABAP, you do it in RAP, and probably if you do it managed RAP, you really like make code very small and compact. But for example, if you want to integrate OpenTelemetry, it's a library available now in JavaScript. If you want to share telemetry from ABAP directly, you need to write a lot of code. You need to write the specification for that OpenTelemetry somehow to send it. But if you just expose your RAP model via CAP, and it's really few lines of code, then immediately on top of your RAP model, you have all the services presented with CAP. So this is the magic. What happens right now, and I'm really pleased. I think that's kind of the vision I see, that this technology only, and also like we just discussed in the morning, like this recap event. We started from a small group 2-3 years ago. Yeah, but it was COVID and not many people. But last year it was already like a very large audience, and I expect that this year, I don't know. If some of you didn't register for recap, I think it's a really right time to do, because it was only available yesterday, and I predict next week probably tickets will be sold out. So
it is going fast. Yes. And you mentioned how fast it went with UI5Con, right?
2 minutes.
There you go.
It's unbelievable. Yes.
Yeah.
So
what was the date for the event?
5th of June for UI5Con, but it's that week actually.
4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah. So UI5Con is on the 5th, and the other days are ABAPConf and recap.
Interesting content events, so not marketing events, in really content events, and think we have to go to bring our mobile podcast studio to that location as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
If it's stable.
As a matter of fact, you want to spill the secret?
Do.
Oh.
Yeah, do maar.
Oh, no, well, we're going to be there.
Wow.
I just got my ticket for UI5Con.
Okay, I still have to register.
See you there.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah. HANA Café Nederland.
So, what I wanted to ask you, you both have a very solid background in SAP development. So, Peter, if I start with you, what is the thing that you did with SAP technology, what you are most proud of?
Yeah, actually, what Petr has also mentioned, or Petr mentioned, is like for mostly integrations. In the last couple of years, we were very much busy with the replatforming of our 17 plus year of legacy system to the new S4HANA field. And Robert was already here, so Robert was together with me, and also Patrick Angevare, so they are really amazing developers. So we built a asset in SAP. It's like we call it like for booking AIF. So actually what we wanted to build is like a web-based application where we can develop very effectively. So actually when we started the project, we know that speed is super important, but we also want to have like a governance. So we wanted to make sure that all the developers is using the same framework, is like coming for 5 different consultancy company. They are not starting to build their own asset that we need to maintain over the next 10 years. So actually what we build is like interface solution where we wanted to be grieve like for the end-to-end workflow experience. So like for whenever is the interface arriving, whenever the message is processed, whenever is like the confirmation is sent, and whenever we archive, to end-to-end, this solution has to be centrally monitored and has to be performing very well. So whenever we started this solution, we also there was a discussion like, shall we start with RAP, because we have like a SAP 2020. At that time, there was some limitation, but at the end, we built on RAP. And there was a couple of when we needed to do workarounds, some service was not available, but at the end, it was like still a super productive solution. So it's currently, this is like for the core for the integration for most of the interfaces at Booking.
Okay. And then the same question for you, Petr. What are you most proud of? What is the most challenging, or what if you look back to your extensive career, what kind of development that you would say, hey, that was really cool?
Everything. I'll be very honest. I think I'm probably the lucky person because I love my work. I mean, I love this routine task.
You couldn't tell, huh? You couldn't tell that he loved to.
No. So for me, and actually, what SAP makes me like very interesting. It's like for me, it's like playing a quest game. Okay. Every day, I'm solving some new quest. Yeah. So like for example, you want to do something and maybe you can just start and write in your code, but first, what I try to understand, okay, how SAP solved this problem? So, for example, if we want to create some kind of a document, and I know there is a BAPI existing, but I know that BAPI probably is not the best way to do it now, and because especially that there were set of function models in the past which used batch input, which has some limitations for, let's say, non-dialog processes. So
batch input.
Yeah. Then what I was doing, I was like checking, like for example, Fiori apps library, and then I was finding the backend, and from that backend, I was finding some hidden gems, secret APIs, which are not documented anywhere. But if you use them, they just creating they are creating some documents in a decoupled way. Then the SAP already some the developer from SAP decoupled like screen logic from the business logic, because by the certain moment it was together. And we use this. I think we did it for document clearing in this way. So we took it. Yes, but now I think it's all whitelisted and published as API. But at that moment it was exactly like this. That's one of the things which I really like. Another one is of course tracking like what's new. But this is like it's good and not. So for me it's a little bit kind of a. Sometimes it can be even demotivational when you see some good change which you would like to have and use, but you realize you cannot because of the release. Yeah. But still, that part I like, and Yeah, of course. What I like, what especially around BTP, that SAP is really streamlining the technology right now to the SAP community. Let's say to non-really technical people. I mean, we are ABAP developers, but we are not like IT specialists, right? And SAP is streamlining a lot of good things, like even GraphQL. This is with CAP, it's really a matter of just one parameter. You install the dependency, you say GraphQL enable, and it just works out of the box. How? I have no clue. But that's exactly the good example. Same, with ABAP, like RAP, right? So during long time, we used to do a lot of secondary activities. So, for example, creating some models for the database operations, update function models. Then you really need to guarantee that transactional behavior. Then you need also to provide some kind of certain abstraction on the data model, on the business layer. And it required from us a lot of code to be developed on the previous projects. Then it was BOP. BOP was also quite nice framework, having its own limitations, but BOP helped at least to kind of to separate things. So there is
it's also the passion from Torsten, right?
Yeah.
Bob F. Yeah.
Correct. But BobF already helped just to get rid of one layer. It's a database update layer, because all the updates they executed with standard function models. But now we have RAP, and RAP it's even bringing more intelligence, right? So with RAP you basically really do a few things. So you design the data model, then you just describe some behavior, right? So what are my actions and what I can do is and the numbering goes automatically just by introducing few associations. So this is really cool. So in the end, your end code becomes like very light. Yeah. So and the
code that you write, because of the heavy lifting, is done by the framework.
Yeah. But coming back to the quest game, even if it's RAP, I will always go and I will debug. I want to understand what is behind it, how it works. So if I don't understand, I'm not satisfied.
This sounds so very familiar. Maybe a story from my archive. I did ALV before ALV was a thing.
What is this?
ALV.
ALV.
Yeah. Ooh.
List viewer. There used to be there used to be there was once that I found that the report was very nicely laid out. And I thought, like, how did these guys do that with all the colors and stuff?
Yeah, because before our ALV, we had this regular reporting. And so,
exactly. It was like gray and dark and bluish and stuff. And then I said, how can I do that? And how did I facilitate this click-through and that sort of things? And then I found out that there's actually a bunch of function modules inside ABAP that were basically responsible for doing so. And it was there for a long time. And no one knew about it. Everyone was doing these reports in the way you just mentioned. And then eventually I found out that they turned it into something that they called ALV, right? That a real framework, but those function modules were there already. And since I was lazy and I wanted to do reports quite easily, and reporting was not my favorite thing, it was like I'm using that framework for basically everything. So every report that I built from then onwards, it looked the same, and it was so easy to set up and so easy to use. And this is what you get if you start digging a little bit deeper. And don't get if you see something nice and
if you expand your horizon,
if you see something nice and you wonder how it's done, and you just dig deeper in through debugging in what function modules are being called there and what objects you have, etc.
But this is also the time that you have first had to go to an SAP training for 14 days somewhere at an expensive location before you get to know the new stuff. And that's as Petr also just explained, that we're now doing a good thing to bring all new developments faster to the developers itself. Yeah,
and the nice thing I think about what was mentioned before on those frameworks and REP and CAP and all those frameworks is that it doesn't stick to what it is originally meant to be. It doesn't stick to this object layer and writing data and pulling data, etc. But now, if you look at REP and CAP and stuff, they have this thing called business events integrated, and who knows what's going to happen in the future. Maybe later on, things like LLM will be integrated as well. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll
As
see.
a matter of fact, if you look at the developer experience, if with SAP Build, which is going to be announced or released in the next few weeks, I think, it's supposed to be in Q1, then things
1 week left.
Yeah. Then things like LLM are supposed to be in there as well already, but on the developer side, but not on. Maybe later, if you look at CAP and RAP and how it is progressing and evolving, I wouldn't be surprised if LLM would be part of
It's on the road.
What is
programming
LLM?
paradigm as well. Oh, large language models like ChatGPT and Gemini.
But it's on the
Yeah,
roadmap.
but honestly, you want my you told me I can be a
Yeah,
friend,
sure.
right? You know my honest opinion. I mean, we can dream a lot about talking about ABAP, bringing language model, but I think if SAP doesn't bring the nice dev experience, the tooling, then ABAP will not raise that much interest, especially among newcomers, new joiners.
Juniors, yeah.
So so for example, I will just give you one example, like why I personally prefer now CAP instead of even ABAP. The tooling is like IDEA, the development environment. Right now we
Eclipse.
So we used to develop in Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, I can
Visual
imagine.
Studio Code is like a really luxury thing, right? So it's so pluggable. You can install there a lot of things. Yes, SAP now comes with a business application studio, which is not Visual Studio Code, but Visual Studio-like.
Yep.
Well, already better, but you cannot do there everything because it's in the internet. So I would still, in this case, prefer to work in Visual Studio Code, connecting to Visual Business Application Studio and doing all the operations there. But Eclipse. I mean, it's really like all-time, old-school thing. I mean, it's still good. It's helpful, better than GUI, all these new interfaces. But you cannot do there that much. You don't have console, for example, like we have when you can just do some things, right?
You know, and what wouldn't have surprised me? If you would have said, I'm taking ADT and I'm porting it to Visual Studio Code.
That's what I expect SAP is. At least should have some kind of ambitions to do the same.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah.
We should have product management for that.
But again, so seriously, like about the change management. So we really want kind of investigate in this CI/CD approach and DevOps. So when GCTS, you know guys what GCTS is?
No, sorry.
It's a Git CTS. So basically it's so when ABAP Git was introduced, developed by amazing Lars Hvam, I'm his big fan. Hello, Lars, if you watch me. So it was gladly adopted by the community because it was a great tool. I mean, finally we can use the source code and not just some sending blindly some transport requests and you have no clue what is there unless you install this code, right? So everything became visible and transparent. So I was hoping that SAP will adopt this technology somehow, and I saw that there was some kind of project called
SAP did, right?
Z-Odense, which actually all now archived. Didn't work, right? And but in the end, SAP came with an interesting approach. They decided we're gonna build our own ABAP Git, which we will call GCTS. Amazing. So and we tried. It's doing well. I mean, it's doing this work, and I see that the developer of it's designed. I mean, the structure of the project in a little bit different way. So, for example, now we already use JSON files, not XML. They are more readable. The project structure is a little bit different. It's cool. Start and using it. But the problem is that GCTS was only working with on-prem systems. If you want to, we can develop some application in our on-prem S4HANA, right? So we can publish it as a GCTS project. Can we bring it to ABAP Cloud?
ABAP environment, BTP, yeah.
As a GCTS project? No, that's not possible right now. You need to do it differently. You need to then you install ABAP Git on your system, export as ABAP Git, manually import this ABAP Git project in SAP ABAP Cloud, and only after this you get this code, which is like not exactly what we want. But I would expect that we have some kind of the there is a project called Piper.
Yep.
That one is a very good one. So if you guys don't know what the Piper project is, I really advise you to do. And so it's confusing when you go it and you see it's a Jenkins library, and if you don't know what this Jenkins is, basically you don't need Jenkins to use Piper. You just, because Piper it's a command line. It's a tool which were wrapped as a command line. It can be run from your local machine, and it allows you to trigger certain operations on the backend system, on any system, on the cloud or on ABAP. And for example, Piper comes with a really nice command. It's called GCTS deploy. It allows to deploy GCTS project to your system. So with just one command, you have your project and you just deploy these artifacts. So, and it brings a lot of creativity capabilities. Like, for example, talking about clients, I can generate a new client, make it as a CI/CD artifact, and just deploy this artifact to the system.
Yep.
I wish we can do the same with cloud, but unfortunately not. So that's why, talking about innovation, I expect that SAP will really take care of tooling of the development experience to allow us to accelerate, to work more efficient for
in the ABAP environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's also the problems which we solved with Kaldi.
Yep. Are you using the ABAP environment in the BTP, by the way?
We have some project, yes.
Yeah, we
not
basically.
extensively.
Yeah, so I use it personally. I use it only as a that not trial,
Playgrounds.
like a Shire playground. So checking. Right now it has a lot of limitations. Not all things allowed there, right?
Whenever a developer would like to use, it's always coming from licensing, then SOX. We have like a super strict and SOX what data is allowed to go. So it's definitely we could use more. But this is also something of it's a difficult experience as a developer. Is like for what used to be in the past is like for now is for the for example licensing is like really difficult to get the clarity, and then
you mean the pricing model?
The pricing
BTP,
model,
okay.
pricing model for certain services. It's
let's not get into pricing today.
no.
HANA Café Nederland met Jan Penninkhof en Twan van den Broek.
Yeah, well, that's called a bumper. So let's stop pricing and because that's really difficult.
Yeah.
What I like to know also to get to the end of this episode of HANA Café is so one tip or maybe two tips for newcomers in the SAP world. Peter, if I can start with you. So what would you recommend for newcomers into the SAP development world or integration world? What would you advise them?
Just come. It's actually what Peter mentioned is like we are a bit of difficult to find junior talent, especially for the Netherlands, the Dutch market. So it would be really good to advertise and then selling. I think these problems that was mentioned is also needs to be overcome. But yeah, I think for newcomers is like don't be shy away that you need to go for the initial barrier, but in general it's a cool word, and then you can be really proactive. And I think SAP is also changing very rapidly in the recent year. So I would say it's like come and choose SAP. I think it's a good and interesting area.
You now try to hire the newcomers to the booking office.
Yeah, we spoke about that, right?
Yeah.
How appealing it is to
Yeah, we can. So the office is really awesome. So
10,000 plants, more than 10,000 plants here.
Yes.
Just one office.
Yeah. and you have Peter and Petr. So that's also really
there you go.
unique selling point, right?
Really amazing colleagues. That's I can highlight.
Yeah, that. Okay, speaking about working environment, I couldn't. Yeah, it was best decision in my life to join Booking. So
But next to joining Booking, so what is Petr? What is your tip for newcomers into the SAP
So
world?
for newcomers in SAP, well, first of all, I advise to not just to go maybe to the raw documentation, but to follow some I really like on this, I think it's called learning.sap.com or
that's news,
developers.sap.com. I don't remember the exact portal, but there is now a set of tutorials.
Yeah.
I personally use them for some new things, and I really like the UI, like how it's done step by step, the content. So I advise to do that.
And that's specifically the tutorial section, or
yes, kind
open,
of tutorials,
the open
like,
SAP.
like kind of walkthroughs. It's the way, by the way, how I started learning UI5.
Mhm.
I just opened that kind of the first section. It was like walkthrough, and there was like step by step doing some exercises and learning some topics, and it was already enough. So, and only later, years after working, I go to some essential sections and check in some topic already more detailed, but walkthrough already works. So I think that's your way to go. And we also had some new colleagues like who joined booking as graduate without any working experience. So I explored like set of such tutorials, gave them as exercises, and now within 2 months they became like really like working power. So
within 2 months,
they deliver.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's really great. So yeah, maybe I should start some mentoring courses.
Yeah, I think so.
How to learn above in 2 months.
You should start your own YouTube channel and then
yes. I have to think of this actually. Yeah, but another thing, what I really advise, I mean, here in booking we take care a lot of performance. So for us, performance is like really because of the huge amount of data and critical business needs. So we care of performance from terms of everything. So I'm trying to reach excellence in almost everything what we do, we touch. So from this perspective, tutorials is not enough. You need to really learn some fundamentals. So for example, talking about ABAP, my first course was like ABAP 401, as I remember, that was the code. And it was some course where you just read like, what are internal tables in ABAP? What are the types? In which case you use which internal table?
Build the basics.
Yes, it's a basics or some object-oriented concepts like this, all this things like encapsulation, polymorphism, and everything like this. So we are hiring a lot. I mean, with Petr, we are hiring managers in booking, and we do a lot of rounds of interview. And it's a big surprise for me to meet sometimes people with really like 10 experience of ABAP. And when you ask the question like, which types of internal tables you know, and they say, well, standard and sorted. And I ask him, why not hashed? Well, I don't use hashed or something like this. Mm-hmm. And for me, it sounds like really kind of nonsense, because this is like, it should be one of the fundamental things which you need to learn only when you start learning ABAP. So this is, and now I understand this is the pattern. So if you just start quickly, you deliver some apps, it's working, but not when you go to real world, it's not maybe working that nice way. I made the same mistake with HANA, by the way.
But you started with tutorials and then
no, but the thing is, when I became a HANA developer, before I worked only in some relational databases like Oracle, and we took a lot of performance by introducing a lot of indexes. And here we've got the HANA, and everything is column-based and memory, and everything works so fast. I was so much excited that I started building like joins on joins, start joins from start joins.
And now it's slow.
But it's not just about the slow, it just took all the memory.
Yeah.
So the total execution time is not the only parameter you should take care. You should also understand, like at least think, how much does it cost, this query?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the thing what we now also kind of care a lot is like how the query, his actual query, is executed on the database side. So this is something which, again, if you talk about being ABAP developer, so first you need to read what is the performance in ABAP, like on the fundamental side, on the language side. Another thing, since you're supposed to be, I guess, ABAP developer on HANA, you really need to learn something about the database you're working with, its capabilities, its limitations, the risks which you may cause with your selects. So this is and again, when you ask some questions to people, like for example, how do you analyze that if query doesn't work well? So usually the answer, like, I go and visually check. Yeah, that's not the answer we expect.
Don't tell all the interview questions.
Yes.
We still need to keep.
Yeah. But I mean, those are, for me, those are so like a small and like kind of a granular things that, yeah, of course, maybe, yeah, if you know what union pruning, June pruning, that's good. So that means you are on the right track.
Yeah, that's something I learned as well, right? That if you start a career in developing, whether it's ABAP or any other language, it's continuous learning. And if you're not up for that, then it's better not to...
I think IT is continuous learning.
Exactly,
Yes. Yeah. Not only ABAP, but in the whole IT department. It's changing
Exactly.
so fast. Yeah, you have to be curious. You have to be on this quest every day to see what you can do differently, what you can do better, how you can improve performance, as Petr just described.
And I think the IT industry is an evolving industry.
Yeah.
And it evolves faster than probably any industry around.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
wise words.
Yeah. Are you ready for it?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
De moeilijke vraag van Jan.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's sorry, it's still in Dutch, but
It's in Dutch. Yeah.
it is about the difficult question from Jan. Jan always asks a difficult question in the podcast. So here we go.
Allowed to ask one difficult question.
Yes.
Here we go.
And it's not that difficult for you because we spoke about it before. It's about TechEd in relation to the things that are upcoming in June. Things like Recap and ABAPConf and UI5Conf. What do you think of this whole shift, the whole paradigm, and how this is evolving?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I can answer this question. Yeah, so this year we're traveling with Petr to the ContConnect. So we registered both, but before I think I attended. You didn't come, right?
No, I was in a tech.
So you were in TechEd. So, but I mean, this question mostly like just to compare these two events, right?
Mm-hmm.
So TechEd is great. We had a really wonderful time in Barcelona 2 times, but well, it's a large venue, and it has a lot of sales pitch things. So whenever you come to the person, you need to leave your your name and the email, and then you got tons of calls from the sales just to buy the software. Well, and it's really good that the recap and this UI5Con is a different event. It's the event when the main message you need to come, you need to listen something like, look, this is how we're gonna work. This is our insights. This is our new release. Please don't do this. Please don't use some, I would say, non-publicly published APIs because we can delete, or do this differently. So this kind of things, they are very valuable. You may miss this when you just watch some blogs or something. It's within one day you get so much insights and so much. Another thing is, of course, connection, social part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because the
right?
venue. I mean, Barcelona, it's a really large Fiori, right? There, to meet everyone, you need to spend. I mean, even 2 days, not enough. Here is a smaller venue, smaller group. You can almost talk to everyone. And this is really like a group of professionals. So that's why for me, it became like a very good tradition to travel once a year to Germany, Waldorf, to meet, I would say already now, my friends. Yeah. So this is, that's a good thing. So but if you asked this question, what I prefer, of course, I prefer more now, let's call it Code Connect. And being full stack developer, I consider myself like a part of all groups, UI5, ABAP, and Recap. I get
multi-talent.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah. It's a nice view on how these conferences, how this Code Connect is evolving as well.
Yes.
And given what we have been talking about today, it would have been nice, or it would be nice in the future sometime, if you could explain how you apply CAP within the booking company.
Well, actually, we did it. I was a speaker at Recap 2 years ago.
There you go.
So
we missed that. Sad. But then they should schedule you every year.
It wasn't in the LinkedIn, isn't it?
No.
No,
But
that
then
part
they
of-
should schedule you every year with your curiosity and with your quest for new challenges, new knowledge. Then they
Diving
should-
deeper.
Yeah, that's something that are very valuable if you share your experience.
Well, we are glad to share, but we even more we are glad to hear experience from other peers. This is
what the event is
what
about.
makes it very valuable.
It's giving and taking.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So I think we had a really nice and packaged episode again with a lot of development experience. So thank you very much, Petr. Thank you very much, Peter, for sharing your experience, your stories, but also inviting us for lunch at your really nice booking office. It's amazing. So
In one of the 3 restaurants.
yeah, we should come 2 more times.
Try them all.
2 more episodes with booking. No, it was amazing. So thank you very much for sharing your
Thank you
experience.
for inviting too. It was nice.
And thank you for listening or viewing this episode of HANA Café. And we will be thank you, Jan, for joining as well, because I think I forgot to mention that as usual.
It was wonderful to have you as well, Twan.
Thank you, Jan. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Dankjewel voor het luisteren naar deze aflevering van HANA Café Nederland. Heb je feedback voor ons? Laat het dan zeker weten. Wil je ook een keer aanschuiven in het café? Stuur ons een berichtje en geef gelijk aan waar je het over wilt hebben. Tot de volgende keer.
Oké, doei.
Thank you.